We are live.
Okay, thank you, Michael and LTV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for June 22nd, 2021. We have some public hearings this evening and some other business to take care of. So we'll get started with our first public hearing this evening. The applicant is Robert De Niro. The lot size and location is 61,478 square feet, total at 242 Old Montauk Highway, Montauk, tax map number 300-87-3-6. Description is to allow the as-built modifications to the accessory structures of a 2,554 square foot two-story residence with basement, 740 square feet of decking, and sanitary system on a parcel of land containing coastal bluffs and beaches. The relief sought is a modification of the zoning board's natural resources special permit and variances determination filed 11/17/17. The residence and decking remain 55 feet and 49.6 feet respectively from the bluff toe, where a 125 foot is required. An additional 97.6 foot variance is required to allow the reconstructed pool equipment shed to be located 27.4 feet from the bluff toe, where the prior pre-existing structure was located 30 feet from the bluff toe. This is an A residence zone X flood zone, velocity VE flood zone, elevation 18, and the secret class is type 2. And council, do you want to just walk us through so the public and everyone knows why we're visiting this again, if you please, Nancy Lynn?
Certainly. As the board recalls, last meeting, you approved a reopening of the rehearing that we conducted on May 4th, because at that time, although the application was heard in a public hearing, was properly noticed, there was discovered that there was a new variance that hadn't been in that notice. And so to comply with state law, we are making sure that that variance is properly noticed. So we are reopening the hearing. So everything that was done on May 4th will be part of this hearing, as well as what we have tonight, so we don't have to do it again. And tonight, the only topic that still needs to be discussed is the new variance, which is required because the pool equipment shed, which previously was pre-existing and so did not need approval, was reconfigured when there was some reconstruction, and now it is in a slightly different location, and as such, there is a variance that needs to be considered by this board. And so that's where we're at. And just to move on to the next issue is we have received affidavit of mailings that the mailings were sent out on the 21st. It says that the mailings were sent out on the 21st day of June, and Pamela, they would not have been sent out on the 21st day of June.
They were not. I dropped them off on the 21st of June.
Yes, you will have to update your affidavit, because your affidavit says that they were the 21st day of June. So they were done, the mailings are postmarked, your receipts were postmarked June 9th. So there is some proof that was done on the 9th. And Pamela, when was the property posted?
The property was posted the same day we picked up the sign, so that would have been the 7th.
Okay. What I will need before the end of the evening, once you signed off on your hearing, I need you to draft the affidavit of service and posting with those new dates and get those to us before the hearing, before the meeting closes tonight. So email those to me as soon as that gets redone.
I can do it, but I don't know that I can notarize it before the mail.
And we will not be able to do our hearing tonight because we do not have a proper affidavit of notice and service.
You'll wake up and pull somebody from their dinner to get it notarized.
I'm sorry, I have to follow state law, and I can give you till the meeting signs off. So if you can do that for me, we can go ahead with the hearing.
you want to save this hearing to last if Ms. Glazer thinks she can get that done?
We can do that if you want, Pam. We'll keep you in the waiting room, and then as soon as you have that corrected and you email me, we can put you back in, fit you back in.
I don't honestly don't see how I'm going to get anything notarized in the next couple hours. I don't know a notary that is open at this time of day or even close by.
Otherwise, we'll have to cancel and we'll have to be renoticed.
It's not 24 hours here. I just don't know. I don't see how it's going to happen.
Well, Pam, let me do this. Since we can't do the hearing without that being properly submitted, I would suggest that we put you back in the waiting room and let you make some phone calls and see if you're able to get a hold of somebody, because otherwise we just can't go ahead with the hearing.
If you know an attorney, right, Nancy Lynn, any attorney?
Most attorneys are notaries.
Not everyone.
Pamela, where are you if you don't want to inside? Because
I'm in Southampton, but not in town. Just,
yeah.
Just I'm at my house actually. So
Yeah.
So Pam, that'll buy you some time, and we won't sign off until you get an opportunity to try to get that fixed. It's just something we can't waive. Okay?
Well, can you do the hearing and then I can?
Nope, cannot hold the hearing without jurisdiction. Don't have jurisdiction until the affidavit is submitted. If you could make sure that, if you knew that you were going to be able to do that, we'd do the hearing and submit it, and it becomes part of the record, but can't do it without it.
I can't find out.
All right. So would you like to have us cancel this for tonight, or would you like to be able to go in the waiting room and try to see if that's something you can do, so you can do this later on this evening?
If you cancel it, can it be put on the next hearing, or
No, it'll have to be renoticed. You'll have to repost and remail.
We don't have, yeah, Pamela, we don't have meetings the next 2 weeks, just FYI.
I'll try to make
Okay.
phone calls.
Why don't you put her in the waiting room, and we'll put this on hold and check back with her before we close our meeting out?
How will I know what time I'll be?
You can email me and I'll respond to your email during the meeting. I'd be glad to keep track of that and correspond with you that way, but we have to.
Is that the only other way? I can't watch to see what, well, I can't.
You can always watch on LTV. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we should move along then. Okay, Pamela, good
Mike,
luck.
can you put her back in the waiting room so she doesn't lose her link?
Yes,
I
I'll
hope
do
it
that
worked
right
out.
now.
Okay. Thanks.
Hopefully you can find somebody. Okay, so we will put that meeting on hold for now. Okay, we'll move on next to our second public hearing this evening. The applicants are Jory Orkandi Edlich, that's Edlich, and Alexander Edlich. Let's see, the lot size and location, 19,861 square feet at 40 Roxbury Lane in Westwood, lot 50 and part of lot 51, map number 2856 in Wainscott, tax map number 300-197-6-1. Description is to allow the existing residence to remain 758 square feet over the maximum allowable gross floor area, and the existing slate patio to remain within front yard lot line setbacks. The relief sought is one variance of 758 square feet from 255-11-67 of the East Hampton Town Code is required to allow the residence to remain 4,344 square feet, where 3,586 square feet is the maximum gross floor area allowable. One variance of 22.2 feet is required from 255-11-10 of the Town Code in order to allow this slate patio to remain 7.8 feet from the northern front yard lot line, where a 30-foot setback is required, and any, other relief necessary. Excuse me, pardon me. This is in a B residence zone. The flood zone is X. and the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have a affidavit of mailing that the mailing went out on the 8th day of June, and that the posting was done on the 8th day of June as well. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is in board member Tim Brenneman's Wayne Scott district. He's helping us out there. Thank you, Tim. Tim, do we have a field report, please?
I do, Mr. Chairman, and Lainey will be bringing that up, I'm sure. I visited the property yesterday, and it was properly noticed. Next photo. As noted, this is property is on the corner of Roxbury Lane and Wainscott Northwest Road in Wainscott. I am standing on Roxbury Lane facing east. And this is as you can see, a nice wooded residential street. Next photo. Now turning back around and facing to the west. And again, another photo to give a sense for what the neighborhood looks like there. Next. Now I've walked in the driveway, which is located off of Roxbury, and took a quick photo of the front of the home. As noted, there's two issues that brings this property before us. One is related to the max GFA, which relates to the second story over, I believe, the garage, which I'll have some photos of next. And then the other is with regard to a front lot line variance request. This property is unique in that it has two front lots because of the way it's situated on Roxbury and Wainscott. And so the next photo, I get the first look at the slate. No, I'm sorry. I just turned as I was standing here, rotated to my left just to give a sense for the driveway. This is the garage that you're just catching a glimpse of here. Next photo. Now I've walked through the gate. I'm in the what would be the front yard that is facing Roxbury Lane. This is the slate patio in question. It's set in cement, so it's bluestone over cement. And I think the TAM does a nice job of describing it in the sense that I don't really think this is as, a real patio per se, as much as just an oversized entryway. Next photo. I've now swung around, and just to give you the sense of the patio continuing to the front door. Next. Now I've gone back out to the where I was in the beginning, and this is, I believe, the portion of the home that was finished as a bedroom rather than left as an attic. That would be the second floor over the garage. Next. Now I've walked over, I'm facing west in front of the garage. And again, this would be the room above, I believe. Next photo. Now I've gone out to the backyard and again gotten a final look at that same portion of the home. Next photo. Just walked back to the back of the property and gotten a little more perspective from this angle. Next photo. And now I've walked back out to the front. I'm actually on the road here looking back toward the front of the house. You can see the separation based on the hedgerow, but through the hedgerow you see the walk front entry patio that is in front of us tonight. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Tim. Now you noted that above the garage is the finished bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. Any questions for Tim, board members? No? Okay. Okay, we'll move on though. Now here, do we have the applicant or the applicant's agent here with us?
Yes, Andrew Goldstein for the applicant, and I have Mr. and Mrs. Edward here also.
Okay, okay. Good evening. Good evening, Andy. And before they speak, if they are not attorneys, I will have to swear them in, as you know.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm here. We're here actually for your help because, as we set forth in our papers, the Edlicks are the victims of a bait and switch fraud perpetuated on them by the Farrell Building Company. This is not a builder's error case. This is not a case where the space was conditioned through some misapprehension that they could do it. This was done by Farrell, really defrauding the town as well as Mr. and Mrs. Edlick, after without the inducement, knowledge, or participation of the Edlicks. The Edlicks went to Farrell, bought a house, as it were, to be built, and had Farrell file the building permit. Unbeknownst to them, the building permit application was rejected because of the excess GFA. Farrell never told Mr. and Mrs. Edlick this. The project manager just went and changed the plans, changed one part of the plans. And we have, I don't know how to do this actually. We have a thumb drive that I submitted with a couple of diagrams. I mean, you've got them in your papers, you've seen them, but.
Pull that up for you.
Eleni can pull that up. And if you request which sheets you'd like to see.
It's a thumb drive that I delivered this week, which has the floor plan of the second floor and the elevations. It's not. This is more. Oh well, actually,
He has the second. Andy.
Yeah, I see it. So you see the cross-hatched area. That was the attic. That was. Relabeled from the bedroom. There's the next picture. If you go down, as built. In other words, they just changed the bedroom to the attic, and they added a dormer, and never told the Edlicks that this was happening. And submitted those plans and had the building permit approved because the house now was compliant with GFA. Once the building permit was issued, Farrell then went and built to the original plans. Instead of building an attic, they built a bedroom and a bathroom, and with the dormer, and never told the Edlicks about this. When the Edlicks only became suspicious when they got the C of O and they noticed inconsistencies in the C of O between what was stated in the C of O and what they had thought they had bought from Farrell. And Farrell then proceeded to file, obtain duplicate C of Os to sort of rectify the problem. The problem was never rectified and finally came clean, as it were. But by the time they came clean with the Edlicks, the law had been changed. And instead of needing, and the 750 square foot variance, they now needed a 750 square foot variance as opposed to something on the order of 390 square feet. In other words, the variance, they now need a 17% variance. If Farrell had fessed up immediately, they would have been able to file this application and only need a 9% variance. But it is just, there's no, this is, I don't know. I like to think that you've never had a case like this. And indeed, the conduct of the builder here is such that I believe that that the precedent that you would set here by granting this variance is basically unavailable to few, if anybody else. I mean, it's not a variance that's going to be able to be relied on by anybody else as a precedent. And the conduct that I described, it's not our view of the conduct, it's not just allegations, but Farrell has admitted in the affidavit that we filed as part of our application, the Farrell affidavit, that they did not tell the Edlicks. The project manager who, I guess, perpetrated this is dead. So there's really nobody here who can really be held to task. But the Edlicks were defrauded. It's plain and simple. They relied on this. This was not the act. This was the act of an agent that went completely off the reservation, unauthorized, without any knowledge or participation of the homeowner.
And you talk about duplicate C of Os. Can you expound on that?
I can, well, not duplicate. Let me. There was a C of O applied for.
Andy, I have some of those.
Okay, Mr. John, would you swear, Mr.
Sure. I will, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, good evening.
I'm Peter. Thank you for your help here. So in July 2014, there was a C of O issued. I don't have the number in front of me, but for 3871 square feet. And it had a certain number. I think it had like 4 bedrooms in it. And my wife and I then were like, these numbers don't comport to what we had contracted for.
Mm-hmm.
In February of 2015, under questioning, they got a new C of O for 3982. So, 90 square feet more. Then in February 2016, they got 3982, but it had one more bedroom, which made a little bit more sense, but it was not consistent with what we had contracted. And then, so those were the 3 COs that they requested, and they kept on saying, "Hey, we'll just get this to work." And it was only in June of 2017 where they confirmed to us that it was overbuilt and they would not be able to deliver a CO which matched.
But how did they get a C of O on an overbuilt house?
Well, that we don't know. I mean, the building inspector went out there. And did their magic and issued a C of O.
And how did they get a C of O did you say, Mr. Edlick, that they got a C of O that added a bedroom to the former C of O?
I don't have them in front of me, but there are 2 numbers that changed. The first was the square footage, which was the 3871 and 3982. And then there was a second number, which was the numbers, I guess, like, what do we call legal bedrooms. Those were the 2 numbers that had changed in the C of O.
And did the bedroom count and did the bedroom count change?
I believe that it was originally 4 bedrooms. And if I remember correctly, we had contracted for 5. And so therefore, I think the numbers had moved up. I don't remember exactly.
Well, you should. This sounds like an incredibly important document to not have with you or to not have in the file. So I highly recommend that you get copies of this into the file, okay?
Well,
if you have the copy, you mentioned you have these copies, well, we certainly would like to see them.
We can get you copies of the C of Os. I mean, I think we actually probably submitted them I know we put the building history sheet.
Oh, let's see, maybe Eleni can pull it, she has it pulled up now, but I mean, it just seems shocking that you would get one CFO and then you get another CFO changed.
But
that increases the bedroom count.
Now,
but John, that's not what they just sent people in to do the inspection.
No, I'm not blaming them, Andy. I'm just I'm not talking about who did this. I'm saying that you're telling us this happened, and it's kind of shocking. The whole thing's kind of shocking in one way, but I understand you. And just while I am speaking, to clarify two things. One, and then I want to let Tim speak, and Roy, since it's Tim's district, but would you say that they went for this, after they were denied, they kind of just whited out almost a portion of the plans, went and got the building permit, and then went back and built the original plans, is my first question. And then when you mentioned the percentages, I'm sure you were referring to when the code changed and the GFA changed for this property. Is that correct, Andy?
February of 16 or 17, I forgot.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So-
Roy, were you?
Well, I think that part of it's almost irrelevant because the original drawings that were approved, the first drawings, exceeded and they were denied. So it doesn't matter if the code changes. Almost, it makes it worse.
Right.
Well, that's my only point was that
It's immaterial at this point. It's still immaterial because it still is exceeding the GFA.
Yes.
There's no question. But John, to answer your question, I think what I thought I heard you ask was that Farrell applied for a building permit with the fifth bedroom. It was rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Farrell changed the plans to change that bedroom to an attic.
Mm-hmm.
Submitted those plans, got a building permit. Went and built the house with the fifth bedroom, changing the attic back to the bedroom in practice. Again, and the important thing here is that the Edlicks didn't know this.
Right.
And if I could, do you want the rest of the board members to speak? I'd just like to go through the five.
Yeah, let's let, if there's any questions at this point, Tim, any questions at this point, Tim, for you?
Yeah. My question relates to what happens if this board approves this variance, and what happens if this board denies this variance as respects to your next steps?
To follow on with that, Tim, if you may, I want to know why even we should grant it. What is the reason we would grant it?
Mhm.
I can tell you that.
Okay. Go ahead, Andy.
The house has been in existence this way since 2013, 2014. The house is, if you deny the variance or if you grant the variance, the house will look exactly the same. There'll be no change to the way the house looks. Because what will happen if you deny the variance is that the second bedroom will become an attic. The mass of the house, which is the purpose of the statute, is exactly the same. No change. So the grant of this variance will have no effect on the character of the neighborhood.
Yes, it does. It sets a precedent.
But it sets a precedent. Well, Roy, it sets a precedent that you granted a variance where a homeowner was defrauded. Could you have any question about the?
Right, but wouldn't that be a civil matter? I mean, this is
But money doesn't help them. They bought a 5-bedroom house because they want a 5-bedroom house. They have family that uses a 5-bedroom house. This is a case where the damages that they'll get, and they'll get damages, they'll recover, doesn't help them. Yes, you set a precedent. You set a precedent where if a homeowner is defrauded by a contractor, and this is fraud, if a homeowner is defrauded by a contractor, the board will put its benevolent face on and say, okay, fine. And by the way, in a case where the mass of the house is unaffected by the grant of the variance, the mass of the house is exactly the same.
Andy, let me jump in. What was the sanitary system approved for? How many bedrooms?
7.
7, right.
And can I ask, I'm looking at the survey that was submitted, and are the clearing calculations correct on this survey?
If they're not, and we have to revegetate, we'll revegetate. I mean, I don't know if I assume they're correct.
Well, it says allowable clearing is 14,862. Existing clearing is 19,861, which does match with my view of walking around the property because it was, I would consider it 100% developed.
Tim, I don't have an answer for that. If in fact, and we can investigate that, if you want to leave the record open for that purpose, so we can establish whether or not, I note that nobody, you're the only one who's picked that up. As it may have been pre-existing. I don't know. I just don't know. If there was a problem with the clearing and they have to revegetate, certainly they will do that.
I have a hard time thinking that lot was pre-existing 100% cleared, but I was going to, related to that, I wondered, all things considered, if you and your clients, Andy, were thinking about what kind of mitigation were this board to approve this based on these circumstances.
One thing that they would
Wait, let me just finish. I was just there to ask you, what have you all been discussing? Possible mitigation that you would be willing to offer?
There are only two things I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
One is that they would withdraw the request for the variance for the front patio, and they would make that a 48-inch conforming walkway. That does then they don't need a setback variance for that. That's one thing. And the other thing that they could do, is that they could install an IA system. They precede. They predate that legislation, and so arguably, since you are technically granting them an extra bedroom, an IA system would be appropriate.
Well, all I can say is I'll comment. Obviously, the patio is not a big give. I certainly imagine this board would respect an IA system if it were leaning towards approving this with some mitigation like that. And I imagine also this board would accept that the clearing be brought up to conform to allowable clearing. I'm sure that's important to this board as well.
So what lands are local that's going to benefit from the IA system? I mean, I don't see that. I'll have a difficulty jumping the hurdle of setting a precedent based on allegation of fraud.
Well,
it's an allegation of fraud.
First of all, we submitted an affidavit from Farrell. I mean, it is. If you want, well, first of all, put my clients under oath. Let me ask them if they knew anything about this. That's one thing. It is uncontested that my clients had anything to do, that uncontested the facts that we've laid out are anything but the facts of this case.
Well, I can swear in Mrs. Edlich if she wants right now, and they can do that for the record.
It might be important to do that.
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. Well, first I'll swear her in, Andy, unless she's an attorney.
Right.
Okay. Good evening. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Good evening. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay. So I'll ask you both, and you can answer too. So at the time that Farrell filed the original building permit, we were aware that there was plans for that call for 5 bedrooms.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And were you aware that building permit was denied?
No.
No. Were you aware that Farrell filed a subsequent building permit application after the first denial?
No.
Alex?
No, I didn't know.
And were you aware that second set of plans for that second application changed the plans to eliminate the 5th bedroom and bathroom and substitute an attic in its stead?
No.
No.
And were you aware that the house that Farrell built at the time it was building it did not comply with the building plans that underlie the building permit that was issued? No. So you had no knowledge at all of anything that Farrell did in order to get the building permit and the building of the house differently than what was authorized in the building permit?
No.
I can ask it a lot of other ways if you'd like me to.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I think also in terms of the precedent, it's contractors' conduct coupled with the fact as you go through the standards, you can get comfort from the fact that they actually pass the standards. There is no, as I said, there's no change in the character of the neighborhood through the grant of this variance, because if you deny the variance, the house is going to look exactly the same as it is now. We've submitted 7 letters from 7 neighbors, the people on either side, the people across the street, all of whom support the grant of the variance. They do not believe that character of the neighborhood is imperiled by the grant of this variance, nor do they feel that the use of their property is in peril. We've talked about the fact that the grant of this variance is the only way they can get the benefit of having the house that they've been living in and that they need for their family. Damages, as Roy alluded to, damages really, money is always nice, but money is not going to do it for them. They need this variance. The substantiality, 17.5% is a big variance, but if you look at all the circumstances of this application, number one, the fact that the variance would have been half of that if Farrell had been candid with them. Secondly, the fact that while it is a sizable variance, it is not a variance that's going to affect the character of the neighborhood or hurt any neighbor. There are no environmental issues with this property. The physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood are going to be unaffected by the grant of the variance. And finally, it's really not this is not a self-created difficulty. They were defrauded. This is not a case where they want the variance because they want to build outside of the limits of the code. They're here because they were told that they were building within the limits of the code and then were defrauded in terms of the house that they have now. So I beseech you to look favorably on this. As I said, we actually filed a letter withdrawing the variance request for the front patio. Actually, when I heard Mr. Brenneman say it was just an overgrown entryway, I was sort of hoping to keep it, but then when I heard John ask for mitigation, I know I had to give it up. But I'm happy. We're happy to answer any other questions you have. I just think that I know you don't like to set these precedents. I just think this is a precedent that if you have people coming in here when these facts trying to utilize this case, you've got a bigger problem in this community than a house that might be too big.
So Andy, let's see, unless board members have questions right now, we will go on to hear from the planning department. And as you know, the record will be held open for 2 weeks until 2 weeks after the transcript is posted on the town's website. You know that, Andy? And you have that time to consider whatever mitigation you want to offer and to submit it to the record before we make our determination, just to make that clear. Okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Sure, Ed, please go ahead, Ed.
Question for the planning. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make 2 comments before you move on.
Yeah.
It was stated by the applicant's representative that this is a unique situation. I think it's unique in the sense that there is a legal ramification here. It's quite unfortunate. It might be quite sad on the part of the client, but It's not unique in the sense that someone could take area that was not to be utilized for living space and turn it into it. Any roof structure with a vaulted roof, steep pitch, allows for a certain amount of area. By adding a dormer could easily become another room. We see that, and that gets done legally many times. In this case here, if we were to grant this variance, we're saying to anyone else who walks in here, saying, well, you know, my builder added a bathroom and a bedroom in what was storage space, and what's the problem? The problem for me is that the town approved a certain print, and that print allowed for a building permit to be issued. Now that a different house was built, it seems obvious to me that it's certainly not the fault of the applicant. It seems as if they have been defrauded, and I think there is legal justification for them to pursue some sort of satisfaction there. However, when we start looking at this from the viewpoint of space that can be converted to living space without permission from the town, we open up a very dangerous area that could repeat itself over and over again. So while I agree with the representative of the client, of the applicant here, that this is a unique situation, it's unique because of the legal ramifications, not because of the way in which space can be used. That's something as a board we have to be aware of. And the second question I have is, you mentioned that a dormer was added. Was the first set of prints, or the set of prints that was submitted that did achieve getting a building permit granted, did it show the dormer on that garage? Because it didn't. So if it did, when you say that it doesn't affect at all the mass of the building, the dormer is a change in the mass of the building, as are the windows that would, if it was a storage, would not have been as complete. I don't think either of those factors, because the neighbors seem to be in cooperation with understanding your very sad situation here. I don't think those are massive asks to say that they would remain. But the problem is that they were not approved by the town when it came time to get the building permit. And now we have a dormer facing off to one direction. We have extra windows and we have living space. So when we consider this, I think we're going to be very careful about deciding where we're headed with allowing for space like that to be converted without approval of the town planning board and the building inspectors. And I think that just on your behalf, I've never heard of anything where multiple building permits get issued for the reasons that you're describing, and the way in which they were approached and the way in which you were obviously misled is really quite unfortunate. But our question is not to deal with the legal part of it, it's to deal with what happens if we approve this moving forward in other applications.
Can I just respond to, when you talk about your concern about moving forward and the inappropriate conversion of dead space into a living space, your concern is whether or not you're going to be bound by administrative res judicata and be forced to grant similar applications. And the distinguishing fact in this application is the conduct of the contractor. I mean, this is, as I said, this is not a builder's error case. This is a fraud, and the legal ramifications exist, but the legal ramifications don't make the Edlicks whole.
I just want to jump in with one comment to follow up on Ed's as well, Andy, that what also is not known is probably the building inspector who was doing all of these framing and foundation framing, electric, plumbing, insulation, knows all this stuff. There's many inspections, and one wonders if that attic they framed the dormer, it didn't get noticed, and one wonders if possibly that attic was an attic at the time of the C of O, and before the house was delivered, it was not finished off. That's probably a question that we cannot get answered, but it's quite unfortunate, that situation. Roy, were you going to say something?
No, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question, and it goes back to the legal ramifications. I'm not quite sure if you're saying there was an attempt at getting some legal remedy against the contractor prior to your application to this board.
Well, what happened was, and just so you understand, I was engaged in 2016, and just to show the duplicity of Farrell, they told me at the time that somehow the house got built a little bigger, like as though like a foot had been added to each room, and that's how somehow it swelled up. And then because the matter had dragged on so long, really to sort of protect the downside, as it were, the Edlicks brought an action against Farrell for damages. The court the judge in that case said, directed the Edlicks to make this application because they had not exhausted their administrative remedies before going to court. And so the legal ramifications here will be, the legal remedy for the Edlicks is damages. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, the measure of the value with or without the fifth bedroom, I don't know what I'm not representing them in that matter. But I think we can give you more detail as to, I mean, I think maybe it's appropriate for Mrs. Edlick to talk about, how the house is used, how many people live in the house, and that the fifth bedroom is not just is important to them.
Okay, so let me jump in here, Andy.
Honestly,
Go ahead,
I honestly think that's immaterial because there's already been testimony that you knew that this bedroom was not there as far as a building permit.
No.
Oh, boy, that's not correct.
No, they never knew. No, they never knew. They did not know that the originally filed building permit application with 5 bedrooms was rejected.
Yeah.
We did not know that.
All right, I got it. Thank you, Andrew.
I failed egregiously if you still think that they knew.
No. Thank you for clarifying that.
They didn't know that. They didn't know that. The whole point is there was a whole process that went on here that to build a house, to file for a building permit with 5 bedrooms got rejected. They weren't told that. New building permit granted with an attic. They weren't told that. All they saw was a house being built that looked like the house that they bought from Farrell.
Okay, Andy, I'm going to jump in now. I think now we all comprehend that, and I'd like to say we've given this a lot of time. We're gonna before we move on to the planning department. Just so you know, I won't repeat what I said, but the next steps that you have that are open to you. Okay, as far as offering whatever mitigation you're free to submit. That's up to you all. But let's hear from and then you'll have a quick final comment, but we've given you a lot of time here, Andy. Way more.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the planning. Go ahead, Terry. Did you have something, Terry?
Get a copy of the contract that was signed with Farrell?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
A copy of the contract, the building contract that was originally signed?
We can give that to
I
you.
don't think that was in your submission.
Sure.
And as well, the C of Os that Mr. Edlick mentioned, please include those with a memo explaining what you're submitting. Eleni, let's go to the planning department. Now, good evening, Eleni. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thanks, Eleni.
Good evening. This is Eleni Nicolopoulos for the planning department. This is Tyler's application and I'm just covering for him. So I do have some things that he had prepared to say that I'll just state, but I'll keep it quick because I think most of this was already gone over.
Yeah.
He did note that it is worth noting that while this issue was ongoing, the town lowered the gross floor area limit after the original building permit was issued. The size of the residence was approved in the building permit, if constructed, would have been over the current limit of 3,586 square feet, so 10% of the lot area plus 1,600 square feet. The previous maximum gross floor area at the time of the building permit being issued was 3,983 square feet, 12% of the lot area plus additional 1,600 square feet. The building, which was ultimately constructed, exceeds the limits of both the old and current GFA maximums. Over the old 3,983 square feet limit by 361 square feet. The differences in the outside appearance of the residence between at the time conforming GFA and the non-conforming GFA variations of the plans are almost non-existent, aside from a small dormer above the garage and along the roof line. So it was just something that he wanted to state. I will make a note about the clearing issue that was brought up. I don't have anything in any of the file about the clearing. It doesn't appear that it was pre-existing non-conforming, so that may be something that that may want to be addressed, and that's something that Tyler can also speak to if the board wants something added to the record about that before the record closes.
Yes, and thank you, Eleni. Yes, and I imagine that that actually has to be addressed, Andy, because if it was not pre-existing, you would otherwise need a variance, and council can address this, but I expect you're compelled to bring this up to comply with code.
I agree.
Any questions for Eleni, board members? No, okay, thank you, Eleni. And let's go, LTV, do we have anyone in the public here?
No, we do not. There are no callers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're close to closing out then. Andy, we'll give you 30 seconds.
Yes. I think I appreciate the board's concerns about precedent. I think that I believe that there would be no precedential value for the grant of this variance. And I think that as you go through the criteria, I believe that I think we have demonstrated that we meet the standards for the variance. And when you couple the meeting the standards with the lack of fault here on the part of the applicants, I believe that it is appropriate and for this board to issue the variance. And as I said, we are withdrawing the request for the walkway variance, the patio variance.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Tim, if you're ready, would you like to close this out?
Sure. So in the matter of Edlich at 40 Roxbury Lane, Wainscott, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-197-6-1, I make a motion to close the public hearing and to keep the written record open until 2 weeks after the transcript posts on the town website.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I concur.
Terry? Oh, you're muted, Terry.
Terry.
Give us a thumbs up, Terry.
We can hear you now. Terry, you there?
Go ahead, Terry.
What is, yeah, well,
No, we hear you now.
you hear me now? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I concur, but that's also for additional submissions from the applicant, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't have to. We're closing out the meeting. That's up to them. It's up to them. Okay, I concur as well. Okay, thank you, Tim. Thank you all. Andy.
Thank you.
Very much.
Take care.
Chair,
Thank you, Eleni. Okay, we'll move along now to our next hearing.
Chair,
Sure.
Ms. Glazer has submitted a corrected affidavit, and she is back in the waiting room if you want to get back to our first.
Okay, perfect timing.
Do not have to read the whole caption in if you don't want to.
Okay, then great. So I'll just say, council, will you confirm that the affidavit of service and posting is in order?
Yeah, let's get Pam back in here. Okay,
Yeah.
There we go.
Just 1 second, please. Actually, Nancy Lynn, I don't see her there. There's another account that she's signed in on. I'm going to admit both just in case she's for some reason signed in twice. 1 moment.
Yep, she is. So we can ditch the one and do the other.
It's still setting up. 1 second.
No problem. Oh, there she is.
Okay. Pamela, can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay, good, Pam.
Okay, council.
thank you.
All right. We have the affidavit of service and posting shows that the mail was done on the 7th day of June, and that the property was posted also on the 9th day of June, and the property was posted on the 9th day of June. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, council. Thank you, Pamela, for taking care of that. Okay, Terry, I'm not sure. Did you do another site visit?
I only did a site visit in order to make sure it was properly posted.
Okay. Eleni does have one or two, thank you, Terry. Eleni does have one or two photos from the record that she can pull up on this.
Right.
So but we can wait. Why don't we go right ahead to the applicant's agent, Pamela? Go ahead, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
I would like to see the photo put up that shows the shed, the location of the shed.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at that. Sure, thank you.
The last hearing that we had.
Yeah. So there we see the generator, the walks.
Generated the walks.
That's and there we go.
That's it.
Okay, so let's at least have that.
That's good to hold right there. Thank you, Eleni. Anything else, Terry?
No, it is what it is. It can be seen.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
let's go.
I think we all know, I was saying to council, we all know, council, you want to just touch briefly? I was asking you, we all know we're here about the shed, but do you want to touch on that, council?
Just that we're here just on the shed because the previous structure that had been there housing the pool equipment was pre-existing, so did not need any approvals at the time that the original application went in. That is the subject of the modification that we considered back in May. But since this was reconstructed slightly closer to the bluff crest, or excuse me, bluff toe, than the pre-existing structure, it does need a variance, and so that's what we're here for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Pamela, you want to, Pamela, I'll swear you in unless you have a law degree as well.
I do not. I do not. Otherwise, they're notarized, I think. Right now.
Yeah, right. Good evening, Pamela. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
We replaced the pool equipment, what we were hoping in kind, in the same location that the previous pool equipment was, but due to the nature of the size and the piping of the new equipment, it was configured a bit differently, and we enclosed it, I guess as tight as could possibly be, so that there still could be access for servicing. And it's 2 feet 9 inches closer to the toe of the bluff than previous. It was not intended to be any different than what was there, but so be it. It just, it got built, and when they surveyed it, it was closer. So Brian Frank noticed how, that there was a difference of 2 feet 9 inches, and he was correct. So we're going for variance because, everything was replumbed in this pool and in the same location, a lot more efficient, a lot, cleaner system. And, it's what we have. The previous system was, I think, was ancient. It was probably from the 70s or 80s. It was really, really arcane. So it's just a better system. And it actually drains the pool into a proper dry well, which previously it did not. So everything is definitely a lot more ecological than it previously was.
And I imagine it's a saline solution. It's not the
saline solution. It is definitely a low chemical solution.
Right. And we all know we did discuss this at the previous application. Okay, thank you, Pamela. Any questions from the board on this?
No, that's just the more energy efficient pool pump.
Yes, they're variable speed pumps. They're a lot more energy efficient. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just like
Sure.
to, is the drawing of the picture of the shed we're looking at, was that built from a drawing? Is a drawing issued by the architects for this building?
There was a drawing. It actually didn't get built according to my drawing. I had it off center so that it was tighter, and apparently they couldn't get access well enough to my design. It was very, very tight to the equipment, and apparently too tight. So they just built it larger. And nobody asked, but that's how it came to be. Sometimes that just happens in construction, sadly. not planned particularly, but it's a little larger. but,
But the
Okay.
drawing that you produced would have been a building that would have either been within jurisdiction or, I mean, within limits?
I don't know. I still think my building might have been at least a foot outside of the of where the previous footprint was. I don't think anything was as tight. The previous enclosure was basically plywood set up with no framing whatsoever. I can't even believe it stayed there as long as it did. That was being held up by the equipment as opposed to the other way around. So I don't think there's anything that could have fit in there, to be honest with you. It was so skinny. We did condense it in length by 2 feet. So it's shorter, but it's wider. So I think.
Okay, well, that's important as well.
It is.
Okay.
Overall.
Let's go on to the plan. Any other questions, board members?
I just want to make Ms. Glazer aware, if she's not already, that there was a letter that we received from a neighbor today in opposition to the application.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because I got no return receipt. So I mean, maybe it'll roll in and.
Well, it was submitted here and it's out on the website now in the public hearing files, so it is out there.
So you can find that tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the planning department. Eleni, if you please, I know there's not.
Eleni Nicolopoulos for the planning department. This had been Brian's application. We don't have too much to say on this. The planning department is not opposed to the proposed variance. The improvement is over an already cleared area and in an already improved surface, and it's in keeping with the variances granted within the 2017 determination. The pool was pre-existing. The pool is actually closer to the bluff than this shed. If there are any questions?
No.
Not from me.
Not for
Anyone,
me.
board members?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Pamela, before we go to the public, if there are any, I'd recommend, you may want to, it may be good for the board to have on the record, maybe you want to submit just a memo stating what you did about the equipment that was used, the efficiency, about the pool system and the drainage into the drywall that was not previously there. It might be good to have that on the file, if you please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Michael at LTV, is there anyone in the public this evening on this hearing?
No, there are no callers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Terry, would you like to close us out on this if there are no other questions from board members?
With this one, is it being the rehearing, if the board is so inclined, we could close the record the next ZBA meeting after the transcript posts.
I'm fine with that myself.
Next meeting after it.
The next ZBA meeting after the transcript, after both the transcripts post, including tonight's transcript.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Excuse me to interrupt everybody. I apologize, Chair. There is a caller that just came in. Is that too late to go to? I just wanted you to know.
We haven't closed out. Do you know? Go ahead. Do we know if
I
that's?
don't know. I don't know who they pertain to till we open it up.
Okay. Yeah, please do.
Okay. So there's a caller with the last 4 digits of their phone are 8958. I'll unmute that caller now.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I had one question for the architect. Because she was explaining.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. You have to stop talking, please. The chair will have to ask to swear you in first.
Sir, first of all, unless you're an attorney, I have to swear you in, and we need to have your name and your address, if you please, to start off with. Your name and address, please.
Yeah, John Perlman.
Can you spell that, please?
46 Old Montauk Highway.
Great. Would you spell that, please? Your last name?
Pearlman.
Okay. Good evening, John. Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, then if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay.
And actually, you're not able to
as I
ask
was
questions. Not able to ask questions. You can speak to the board, though. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, I noticed, I was listening to the hearing and I heard that the architect said that, you know, the modifications to the shed were knowingly proceeded with that didn't comply with her drawings, and they went ahead and changed the structure and dimensions of the shed and went ahead in building it. My question to you is, did they, after they had done that, did they take the initiative to provide the board with the said modifications that they proceeded with, or was the differences in dimensions of the shed discovered on the town's own accord when the zoning official went to inspect the property?
Yes, I think that's all been addressed. I don't know if you heard the whole public hearing, but the answer is no, they were not. We did not. You know, this occurred just as we've gone over, and the building size did change. The contractors did it without the architect knowing, and you know, we've gone over this. So okay. So that's kind of where we are, and you can go back and listen to it. But that's what happened. Okay, we did not receive drawings from the builders. Okay.
It is part of the modification.
Oh, so the town discovered the issue
the
on its
planning
own.
department. No, it was discussed. The planner discovered it when he was analyzing the survey, that the shed on the survey was 2.9 feet closer. It was shorter and it was less long but wider. And we've gone over all this, okay? So I can't revisit it all. We've discussed it. You can rewatch the hearing too. You're welcome to, okay?
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
no, the reason I was calling, because I heard the architect said that they had made modifications, and I just wanted to confirm that those weren't passed along to the town, which you've done. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for calling in. Thank you. Okay, anyone else, Michael, LTV?
No more.
Okay, Terry, would you like to close this out, please?
Okay, the application modification for Robert De Niro at 242 Old Montauk Highway, tax map 300-087-03-06. Make a motion to close the public hearing. Leave the written record open until the ZBA meeting following the time that both transcripts for these modification hearings posts on the website.
Second.
I concur.
I concur.
And I concur. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Nancy Lynn. Thank you, Eleni and Pamela.
Thank you very much, really, for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move along now. The next public hearing is Robert Smith is the applicant. The lot size and location is 30,372 square feet at 586 Montauk Highway, Montauk, tax map number 300-47-1-1.1. Description is to demolish the existing residence and associated structures and to construct a new 4,328 square foot residence with 800 square foot swimming pool, 64 square foot hot tub, pool decking, accessory building, roof decking, driveway, and a new sanitary system, which requires temporarily exceeding the town's clearing limits and will exceed the town's maximum height requirements. The relief sought is one variance of approximately 3 feet is required from the 255-11-10 to construct the proposed deck railing approximately 28 feet above the natural grade where a 25-foot maximum is allowable. One variance of 2,783 square feet is required from 255-2-60 of the town code to temporarily clear 20,019 square feet of the parcel, where 17,236 square feet is the maximum allowable. This is in a residence zone. The flood zone is X, the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have a affidavit that the mailings were done on the 11th day of June, and we have an affidavit that the posting was done on the 10th day of June. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. Ed, I believe you took on this application?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
This is an interesting posting on this site. I'm going to show you that the client posted this 4 times. I'll show you all 4. But here I'm standing on Montauk Highway. As you notice, the property under discussion sits to the south side of Montauk Highway. If you look down the road, you can see we're descending into Montauk. We're right by the confluence of the old highway, the new highway, and Second House Road. Here is a posting out there at the roadside. Next. I'm looking back west. There's a neighbor's house that you can see that sits slightly above it on the hill. And I'm looking back towards East Hampton. Next. Now I'm looking back down into town. Again, you can see there's some structures across the way, and you can see the motel in the distance as you're entering town. Next. Here's a second posting. Because this is a flag lot, that one was out at the road. This one was posted halfway down the flag lot driveway. It's important before we move on to note that the vegetation that's behind this sign is part of what is being asked for in the variance to overclear temporarily. A lot of this, a good deal of this portion of this lot is open, is cleared, but in order to construct, and when we see the survey later on, you'll see that a lot of this is going to have to go. So behind this particular second notice, we see this several trees, and there's going to be some other shots that have to be removed. Next. Here's a third posting down low on the house, down below under a staircase that goes to the second floor. Next. And here's a fourth posting that's up on the rail up there. So they did a great job of making sure the neighbors would know what was going on. Next. I went back now and I'm standing in the flag lot driveway that's shared with the neighbor to the west. And I'm looking directly at the house. We can see here is a pitched roof, which is going to have some similarities to the future structure. And we can see the nature of this 40 plus year old structure. And it's important to note, although it's not our consideration tonight, that the house is going to expand towards us, and that the swimming pool, when you get oriented in the survey, the swimming pool and hot tub and associated structures are going to be between us, where I'm standing here, and the building. Next. I'm looking down the driveway. I'm at the end of the flag lot driveway. I'm looking down into their driveway itself. You see a portion of the house that's lighter colored through the shrubbery. Again, that shrubbery to our left and a little bit to our right is part of what they're going to be asked. They're asking for a variance to overclear for construction. Next. I'm looking back out from that very same spot. This is the flag driveway. So you see the distance we're in off of the highway. You see a house across the way, and you can also see the dormer from the roof line of the house to the west, the neighbor to the west. Next. Oh, and that's just to show you that there is a very close juxtaposition of both parking and driveways for both neighbors. They're almost as if it's one residence. They park so close to each other. Next. Here we're coming in the driveway. You can see the garage to the right. There's a hot tub sitting free on the left. You see the structure that's to be demolished, and the parking pad as exists now. Next. Now I'm looking off to the east, and that house that we're looking at that's beyond the hot tub will be the house that when we're considering the deck rail that they're looking for a variance on will be most affected by. That house sits directly to the east of the structure that exists and the new structure that's proposed to be built. Next. I'm taking a look now. I turn and I'm looking south, and I can see the roof line of a motel that sits on the old Montauk Highway. There's a break in the vegetation here. We can see them. A good deal of the rest of the back is pretty well covered by existing vegetation. And the property line for this particular parcel is not much beyond where we see that low spot in the shrubbery. Next. Looking across the south side of the structure as it exists, you'll notice they're going to be putting in an IA system. That IA system would go basically where we're looking and a little to the right of the photo. Next. Here I'm a little bit further down. You can see a staircase going up to a third floor. You get some idea. I climbed up there and it's relatively the same height. Someone can tell us exactly how it relates, but you get an idea for what a railing will look like at that height, plus or minus a few feet. When we'll see what the proposal exactly is. But right now, it's a fairly large structure as you see it. My back is to the south, and I'm looking north. Next. Now I've gone off and I'm standing with my back to the east and I'm looking west. And again, you see the second floor, but that railing up above there, up adjacent to the chimney, is a railing that protects the people who are on the observatory on all the way up on the on the third floor, or up on the roof line rather. Next. I've turned right from that same spot and I looked over my shoulder. There's not a lot of protective vegetation between them and the neighbor to the east. And this is the house that would be most affected by the railing that will be above code at 28 and not 25 feet. Next. I've just turned from that same spot and looked out. We can see across the way. This is the house I referenced as we're coming up with that dormer facing us. This house is an older pre-existing house. They share the driveway. The pool area would be in the lawn between us and there, and any deck area that's above would be partly protected by the pitched roof of the new structure. So this would be a little less affected and possibly not affected at all by the deck rail. Next. Now I'm looking back again from an area where there's going to be the swimming pool, just looking due south at the structure itself. Next. This is just to show that there is this detached hot tub sitting on the site. Next, just to show the structure. I'm looking due west here. There's a fence line that gives you an idea about the distance in the property. Right at the edge of the lawn is at the bottom of the structure. There's a variety of vegetation growing here, some invasive, some not, most invasive, I would say. Much of this is to be cleared back towards there in order for the construction to take place, at least on the proposal at this point. Next. And again, looking back out, I see the neighbor beyond, and the highway. You can see the telephone poles coming down the highway, so you get an idea how it relates to the surrounding area. Next. And again, I'm up on the deck, the first floor deck, looking over, and you get an idea that this house due to the east is very close, and they share sight lines throughout. Next. Just looking back across, not necessary. Next. Oh, wait a minute. Before you next, I wanted to make note that the shrubbery on your left, that's part of what's going to be removed in the overclearing. That's why I took the photo. That entire mass is to leave, and in order for them to trench in gas and electric and to get some of the services taken care of. So when we consider the potential approval for the variance to overclear, this is what we're talking about. Some of the mature growth that's there, and some of the undergrowth as well. Next, that it, Eleni?
That's the last one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for that thorough site field report, Ed. Questions, board members for Ed? Okay, let's go to the applicant or the applicant's agent.
Mr. Chair, I did have one quick question.
Sure.
I was unable to locate a survey in my records. Did we receive a survey as part of this?
No.
No, I was not able to either.
Yeah, we addressed this, Tim, during the week. Remember Berger in particular called to research that, and what we're working from here is what's shown here, I think, is the IA system and site plan. We did not find a survey. Is that correct, Terry?
Right. Tyler said that they didn't get a survey, but that this was done by a surveying company, the grading, drainage, and IA plan. So he thought it was as good as a survey.
Maybe Mr. Barlow can clear that up. Oh, it looks like they are surveyors and engineers.
Yeah.
And well, thanks, Tim. Let's see if Mr. Barlow can clear that up. At first, good evening, Stephen. Are you an attorney, Stephen?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'll go ahead and swear you in. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Do you want to address the survey issue first?
The survey, we had an original survey by Walbridge, and we hired Barrett Bernacchi Van Weel, who's also a survey engineering company, to do the septic system. So we had Barrett Bernacchi Van Weel do their site plan, their design of the septic system, and so forth on their plans. So my understanding is this is by a surveyor, and this is the site plan for our property.
But you do have a survey as well.
I do have a survey as well from Walbridge that just shows the existing house on the lot.
Not the proposed, okay.
Proposed. This is the survey with the proposed house.
Okay, so maybe, since it'll be time, you might want to submit for the written record, a copy of the existing house survey, if you would.
I can.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do I?
Yeah, you speak.
Our proposal here is as has been stated, we're asking for 2 variances. I'll address the roof railing first. Basically, the proposal here is to construct a new house, which is very similar in height to the existing house. So the roof railing itself, if you scroll back through the photos and you saw the 3rd floor deck railing height that's existing, it's solid. We're proposing to make that entirely in glass. So in effect, the house on that corner of the site would be lower. It would be in glass. And so I don't feel that any of the houses around the house are affected. It faces the hotel, or the motel is the greatest facing area of that roof railing.
Can I jump in? I'm not sure if you know, Stephen, as far as I understand it, that the principal building inspector, Ann Glennon, if you have a 25-foot limit and you have a glass rail, she does not count the glass railing as a structure. So if that's the case, I don't know if you require this variance.
And that's correct. That was going to be my next statement. I submitted an application for this as a variance because of zoning code, but my discussion with Joseph Palermo, subsequent to my application, he sent me an email and said he doesn't require a variance for a glass railing as long as it's entirely glass above the 25 feet. So, right. I'm hoping we can just be done with that.
Okay, so let's move on. Maybe you can talk about, I guess the next variance you have is your clearing, correct?
Next variance is the clearing.
Yeah.
Okay, and the clearing on the site for us to build this house and get in the required septic system that we need, which we already have approval through the county health, the Board of Health, requires us to clear more vegetation off of the site. And it was correctly stated that in the front of the site also towards the kind of the northwest, as we bring in services, we will require some clearing in that area as well. So my proposal includes the amount of clearing that we're going to need when we go and excavate around to build the new house, and to do all the trenching and to do the required septic system. And so the proposal is to revegetate it was a total of, once we're done revegetation, it would be, we would have 16,865 square feet of open space, which would be underneath the requirement. And we have an application in for the revegetation with native appropriate vegetation.
Maybe Eleni, would you mind? We'll hear from Eleni next. Well, we'll wait when she speaks and she can pull that up. I'll ask Eleni to pull up that re-veg plan. Any questions right now for Stephen, board members?
Yeah, on this diagram, where is the clearing line noted? Is it noted?
The clearing numbers?
The clearing, the lines of the clearing.
the curvilinear line that runs around the site, if you can look around like the curvilinear driveway.
Oh, she can put her cursor on it.
Yes.
Yeah, Eleni has her cursor on it.
That is the existing line of vegetation. And you can see where we've made a light line. You see it curved. It's lighter in some areas where we've cut back. Okay, so follow, if you run your cursor around that, that's the line of clearing. And then where we've dotted it is where we're clearing, we're adding back in the vegetation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so like where the cursor is now, that's our septic system. We need to clear some of that back. You can see the dotted line there. And then the proposal is to infill that area where we've shown it dotted, so that we get more, we have more vegetation towards the other properties, and we get more privacy. And same with the front, you can see the little dotted areas where we're clearing, and we want to create more privacy in front of the pool to the neighbor to the north. So we've been kind of strategic about how we put back the vegetation, and it's our intent to make it look like it was, or indigenous, maybe better indigenous plantings than what they have there now, which is actually some poison ivy and things like that. So, but our goal is to create privacy and not to disrupt anybody else around when we're all done.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for
Yeah.
Mr. Barlow. Have you already, or will you be submitting a detailed drawing of this third floor railing or the roof railing? Because the approval from the building department has been stated for an all glass rail, so that we want to make sure that what's approved here doesn't wind up having a stainless steel or a bronze cap on it that was not approved. We've just gone through a number of cases where things were built not according to plan. So I want to make sure that before we walk away from the issue of the rail, that it's clear that, you're fully on top of the detail on this, and that it'll be a full glass rail in the finish.
We will, it will be a full glass railing without a cap on it. It will have a stainless steel seat that is on top of the roof and flashed into the roof, and we slide the glass in, made from it's product from I believe it's Julius Blum makes it, and so there will be no cap, and we will submit section details of that to the building department with our building department set with the set.
And as well, if you don't mind, it could even be an SK or it can be a detail, but just for this, per Ed's comments, for this our case here, that would be good to have in the ZBA file.
I can submit that, our section, building section that shows it, and we can do an SK that shows a blow up so everyone
Right.
knows
Okay.
it. But my intent is definitely to have a fully glass rail. I don't want to have a cap on it.
Thank you. Anything else, board members? Questions? Okay, let's go to the planning department next.
So, Eleni Nicholas from the Planning Department. I will bring up the revegetation plan that I believe was response here. So this is Tyler's application as well. And I do have some things that he prepared that he wanted stated at the hearing. So I actually will not discuss the height variance since that was no longer. The subject parcel is currently pre-existing non-conforming to clearing limits with an existing clearing of 17,809 square feet, where 17,236 square feet is the maximum allowable. In order to construct the proposed project, the applicants are requesting a temporary clearing variance of 2,783 square feet in order to clear up to 20,019 square feet before revegetation to reduce the clearing limits down to a conforming 16,865 square feet. The revegetation plan depicts a near monoculture of red osier dogwoods and should be improved with additional appropriate species mixed in to create a more natural revegetation. as opposed to native landscaping. But the areas proposed are appropriate, and an updated plan can be conditioned to be submitted prior to the issuance of a building permit if approved. So I believe that he's okay with the areas, everything. However, the proposed species, while native and great, it does appear to be mostly red osier dogwood. There was 141 red osier dogwoods, where we would like to see a little bit more of a variety of species.
Okay, thank you, Eleni. And Stephen, I'm sure, as you know, that you can work with Tyler and the planning department. You can collaborate with them, as you know, to come up with an appropriate revegetation plan.
Yeah. Can I do that myself, or do I need a landscape architect? I'd
say if whoever did this, I'm sure is capable of working with Tyler and doing it. Whoever did this drawing.
That was me. So
yeah,
And
again, they can give you a list of plants. I mean, they're very amenable to working with you.
I've already been through your website, and this is kind of what I've done so far is based on the website and the list of indigenous species that you've listed on the website, and spacing appropriate and so forth. So I'm willing to work. I'm glad to work with Tyler to come up with a plan that would be acceptable to him.
Sure, and you're welcome if it works out well and you get this. You're welcome to submit that. This again, that the public, the written record will be open for 2 weeks after the transcript. So it might be you might have like a month. So in case you get something resolved with Tyler, you're certainly free to submit that to the written record before we make our decision.
Okay.
All right.
That would be great.
Great. Thank you, Eleni. And any questions for Eleni, board members? No? Okay. Michael at LTV, anyone in the public on this hearing?
We actually do have a caller. I don't have a number. There's no caller ID. It says restricted, but I can unmute that.
Yeah, maybe for the next hearing, but go ahead, please.
Okay. And if you want to just advise the caller when they come in that they have to state if they need to be sworn in. I'll unmute that now.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you state your name?
Yes, my name is Frank Bonavita.
Are you calling in on the Smith application?
Yes, I am. I am the property owner directly to the east, 590 Montauk Highway.
Okay, thank you. Can you just give us your name one more time for the record and spell your last name? Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Frank Bonavita, B as in boy, O-N-A, V as in Victor, I-T-A.
Okay, good evening, sir. Are you an attorney? Otherwise, I have to swear you in.
I am not an attorney.
Okay, no problem. So please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I and my wife Maureen own the property directly to the east of the Robert Smith property here, the address of which is 590 Montauk Highway. I did send a certified letter to the ZBA, and I'd like to confirm that it was received in opposition to this particular application for the reasons noted in my letter.
There, it was received and is part of the record.
It was. Thank you, sir. It was.
It was part of the record. Okay,
yes.
Very good. Okay, can I ask for my letter to be read into the record? Not being familiar with the town of East Hampton ZBA proceedings,
Sure. No, it's actually it's not necessary, but you do have a minute or so to just simply state that you've submitted. We know that you've submitted a record. All of the board members have or will be reading this, and you're welcome to let us know briefly to paraphrase that letter if you'd like to quickly, and let us know what you're against or for or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. I have no problem with Mr. Smith demolishing the existing home and rebuilding a home. The issue I have is the new home is approximately 2,000 square feet larger than his existing home. You're talking about having a home here that's going to have 4,328 square feet of living space, and then of which you have 7 bedrooms, 6 full baths, 2 half baths, 2 full kitchens, and that's just on the interior of the home. The exterior of the home has additional baths, 2 additional half baths, additional showers, and I personally feel that's an over-intensification of use, and specifically due to the fact that in addition to what I just mentioned, there's an additional eating pavilion that's approximately 41 by 20, a swimming pool, a hot tub, and decks projecting from every floor of the home. Every square inch of this property is being utilized, and then some. I personally feel that it detracts from the character of the community, and that it's going to set a precedence of over-intensification of use and overbuilding, which I'd hate to see start in the hamlet of Montauk. It's already an issue on the east end of the island, throughout the South Fork. I think we're all cognizant of that, and I hate to see Montauk become what other towns have become on the South Fork. So, with that said, I hope that the board members take into account whatever ultimately is decided here will be a precedent for other people to build on such small lots, a lot that's a little over a half acre. It's not, 0.66 acres as per the ZBA docs. And it will adversely affect, in my opinion, my property in terms of the peace and tranquility that currently exists. So if the board could please take that into account, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. I will, just for the record, I will read in from the survey, the building coverage and total coverage. The maximum allowable on coverage is 5,575 square feet, or 20% of the lot. Well, I won't do the calculations, but the existing coverage is 1,514. The proposed main building will be 4,127 square feet of coverage. The proposed accessory is 592 square feet. So it's getting up into the 4,700 square foot range, just above that, and where allowable is 5,575, and the 4,719 is the proposed, and the total lot coverage allowable, maximum allowable is 13,938 square feet, and the existing is 8,322, and the proposed is 8,740 is proposed, where 13,938 is allowed. Stephen, would you like to just comment for the board on this issue? This gentleman states that there are 2 kitchens. Is that correct?
Yes, I can comment on that. There are not 2 kitchens. There's one kitchen, and there's a wet bar on the lower level. My discussion with Joseph Palermo, he asked me to clarify that because I submitted for a building permit as well, prior to this, and he and I discussed, and he asked me to make some changes in the lower floor and remove any element of cooking or so forth. So there's only one kitchen in the house.
Yeah, because in your plans, hold on, sir, I'll just read this out. What I see on these plans is a refrigerator, a micro, I think it says cooktop. Maybe you took this out, a dishwasher, and a sink. So there must be some updated plans, I'm hoping.
Yes, there would be an updated set of plans, excuse me.
Yeah.
Which removes the surface of cooking on the lower level, on that lower area. Mr. Bonavita is correct in reading the plans on these plans that could be interpreted as a kitchen, but that's not the intent of it to be a second kitchen.
Yeah, so nonetheless, and you might want to submit that for this file as well.
I can do that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Bonavita, for calling in. We'll certainly take all of your comments in your letter into consideration.
May I make one more comment? Not knowing
Very
exactly what the, may I make one more comment? Is that possible?
Yeah, very briefly, please.
Yes, yes, okay. In regard to the additional plantings, if I can see, I see plenty of plantings in certain areas of the property. I just want to make sure that additional plantings against Mr. Smith and my property line are done to ensure my privacy from the pool and whatever else he may ultimately be doing here, if possible.
Okay, thank you. And again, you're welcome to look. We were just looking at that planting plan, and you're welcome. That's on the public website. It's right here in front of us. And Lenny, maybe you can move over to the east. So you see, it looks like there's quite a bit of additional planting going in. But I'm not going to really comment. You can look at that. You can visit it on the website. You can also call Tyler Borsak at the planning department if you have any questions. But okay. So
thank you.
Thank you
for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. Ed, would you like to close this out?
Excuse me, Chair. I'm sorry, there is another caller.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, the last 4 digits of this caller's phone are 9594. I'll unmute that now.
Yes, hi. I'm not a lawyer, so.
Okay, are you here for the Smith application?
Yes, I'm a resident of Montauk, and my name is Kathleen Kirkwood.
Good evening, and what's your address, Kathleen?
91 North Surfside Avenue.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, I have 2 questions. And first, I want to say the precedence was an interesting comment from the prior caller in Montauk. My 2 questions are, what is the oversight steps on revegetation? And what are the discard steps for taking vegetation away? Are the plants and trees donated, replanted, or discarded to landfill?
Isn't that
proper procedure?
Yeah, we don't go. This isn't a question answer, so I'm sorry. You're able to. You're able to look at the file. You can re-listen to the hearing, but we don't do like a Q&A here. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
There's a revegetation plan. It's all on the record, and again, you're welcome to look at that. And if you have any questions, you can certainly call and speak with a planner, but we're not going to do that here this evening. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. If there are no more callers, Mike.
There are no more callers.
Okay. I think we've given this plenty of time, Stephen. I don't imagine you have to add anything that we haven't heard, Stephen.
Other than I appreciate Mr. Bonavita's comments,
Mm-hmm.
although I disagree with them, because we've worked very hard to keep this underneath. This is in conformance with the zoning code, entirely within the zoning code. So we're working with the zoning code that has been written, and I don't think that anything that we're doing here is out of line. We've worked very hard to create a house that actually looks like a home that belongs in Montauk. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not our intent to disrupt anybody else around us on this property, but it's actually our intent to create some seclusion and to better what is there now for everybody surrounding the property. So that's why we're presenting a proposal where we're revegetating more than what exists on the site now. And as you can see by some of the photographs you guys took, some of the plantings around in the existing vegetation around the site isn't the greatest, and we'd like to bring it back and to create a project that looks like it belongs in Montauk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Ed, would you like to close this out, please?
I just want to make one quick comment, Mr.
Sure.
Chair, and that is that relative to the neighbor's phone call, this board was asked to look at two separate issues here. We're not looking to approve an NRSP. So my concern has been over the railing and over the additional clearing. The other issues that were raised really were not put on the table in front of us tonight, I don't believe. Am I wrong in saying that?
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ed.
All right. I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing portion of this meeting for Robert Smith at 586 Montauk Highway, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-047-01-1.1, but leave the written record open until 2 weeks after the transcript of this meeting is posted on the town's website.
Second?
I concur.
Terry? Where's Terry? Terry, you there?
I don't see her.
Excuse me, Chair. Looks like we lost Terry.
Okay.
If she comes back in, I'll let her in immediately.
Okay. I guess, well, I concur as well. Council, can we move on if we have 4 of the 5 of us on closing the hearing?
Yes, you have a majority to close the hearing, yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Stephen, Eleni, Mr. Bonavito, thank you all for participating. Take care. Okay, we'll move along. Next public hearing we have, the applicant is Patricia McCarthy. Lot size and location, 6,159.7 square feet at 21 Royal Place, Oceanside at Montauk, map number 2730, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-31-3-24. The description here is to allow, excuse me, existing decking, bin, outdoor shower, shed, stone patio, stone landscape wall, stone walkway, and fencing to remain on a property, and to construct a front stoop extension, a deck addition, and AC screens on a property that contains freshwater wetlands. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-4-40 and 11 variances from 255-4-30 wetland setbacks. Variances of 81.4 feet, 72.5 feet, 64.7 feet, 62.3 feet, 49 feet, 48 feet, 45.5 feet, 39 feet, 82.3 feet, 43.1 feet, and 37 feet are required to allow the existing stone wall to wall 18.6 feet, stone patio 27.5 feet, stone walkway 35.3 feet, decking 37.7 feet, shed 51 feet, deer fencing 52 feet, outdoor shower 54.5 feet, bin 61 feet, and proposed deck expansion 17.7 feet, proposed front stoop expansion 56.9 feet, and proposed AC screening 63 feet from freshwater wetlands where 100-foot setbacks are required, and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in a B residence AE 14 flood zone. The secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
I have an affidavit that the mailing was done on the 9th day of June, and an affidavit stating that the notice, the posting was done on the 8th day of June. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you very much. This is in, I believe, Terry, this is your application?
Yes, it is. And I lost my whole Zoom session before, so I do concur to closing the public meeting on the other one.
Great. We were hoping you would.
I had to come in through a different device because my PC is acting up.
Right.
Anyway, so I won't see as well on this one. Yeah, this was the app. Well, I got 2 pictures of the posting. This is from across the street, just to show you the front of the house also. And next, this is a closer look at it. It was in some kind of strange looking ink, so it was not easy to read. But next, I just took, you know what, Eleni, I think we have the ones from the original. This is from the original. Yeah, this, if you recall, this was a hearing that was postponed at the day of the hearing. So these postings are actually from the previous one that got postponed. So go on. This is the north side of the house. I'm going to walk toward the back. There's a number of variances, as you can see, 11, I believe it is, and all but 3 of these already exist, and the applicant is looking to legalize them. So I'm going to walk along the side of the house. Well, first I'm going to show you the front of the house. This is one of the locations where there is some new work proposed on the application. They want to add a stoop and a little porch and overhang in the front of the house. This is on the west side. This is the furthest point from the wetlands. However, the entire property is within wetlands jurisdiction. Next. This is on the south side enclosure for the LP tank. I believe this is not in for a variance on this one. Just took a shot down the south side of the house. Next. Now, this is on the north side of the house where a number of the already existing structures are. And go ahead. The walkway is one of them right in front of you. Next. Now you can see the AC unit on the right side of this photo where it's proposed to be re-screened, new screening go in, or this is the new screening, I'm not sure. Next you see the bin, it's a bin. And if you do the next shot, Melanie, I think see it a little better. Yeah, this is the bin that's next on that side of the house, and to the left of that bin is the outdoor shower. That's also proposed. Next, you can see, well, this is a better look at the walkway that goes toward the wetlands. The wetlands are to the east on this property. Next. And you see the shed that is underneath the decking for the second floor. That's also looking to get the more variance. And you can see across the house to the existing decking on the first floor. And the next shot will show you the staircase leading up to the second floor decking. And next, now this is a shot from a distance. I walk toward the wetland. You can see the stone wall planter that is in for a variance. You can see the second floor decking kind of behind the trees. And next, this is a shot of the neighbor to the north on the property, the nearest neighbor. Next. And it's a shot, you can see the house to the nearest neighbor on the south side. And I'm taking these from the east side of the applicant's yard. Next. This is the other little round stone planter that right at the wetlands that I don't see on the survey, actually. Okay, next. This is a shot now. I'm standing kind of in front of the existing first story decking and shooting back toward the wetlands. And everything behind that stone, the stone planter in the farther one, everything beyond that is wetlands. And there's a wire fence noted on the survey, and I believe it was still, that they say will be removed. I believe it was still there, but it was embedded in the shrubbery, so I really didn't get a look at it. Next. Now I'm shooting back to the existing deck, and this is where one of the deck extension is proposed and requires the variance from there to the wetlands that are toward the left side of that photo. Next. And now I was trying to get, there was a wetland flag in there, but looks like it didn't come out in the photo. This is on the south side where the wetlands are marked, where there's post and rail fence and wire fence. Next. This is a shot from that area where the wetland begins on the survey, just looking back at the house, what's existing there today on the second story and the first story in the back. Next. And this is another shot where there was a wetland flag. And yeah, that might be it. That might be it. I'm not sure, but okay, yeah. That might be it. And just again, to show the vegetation that exists today. Next. And now I'm standing, this is a shot actually shooting east into the wetland. And you can see the house on the next street over from the applicant's house. But this is part of the watercourse and wetlands running through this entire property from south to north. Next. And okay, this is a shot up north on Reuter Place. And next is a shot south on Reuter Place. You can see it ends in a cul-de-sac a couple of homes away from the applicant's house. And those houses in the distance are actually on DeForest Avenue. And the property to the right there where her cursor is now is, I believe it's a town-owned property. It's a non-improved lot over there. And I believe that's the last one.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Any questions, board members? Okay, then we'll go along to the applicant's agent. Tara, good evening.
Good evening, Chairman Whalen and members of the board. I'm Tara Burke from Lighthouse Land Planning, here on behalf of Patricia McCarthy.
Thanks, I'll swear you in. And you'll remember it's Whelan, not Whalen next time. Tara, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thanks. Go ahead, please.
The planner, Eleni, did a great job summarizing the proposed project in the TAM. As stated, this parcel was created as part of a subdivision and a zoning board determination in the matter of Montauk Beach Development Co. from 1965. During that time and subsequently during the development of this parcel, it was known that there was a water course running through this property and actually a majority of ditch plains. And during the development of this parcel and several other parcels in ditch plains, the water courses were culverted and redirected to create legally, to create buildable parcels. So that's what happened on this lot. There was a water course running through the middle at one point. It was redirected via drainage pipes along that northern property line, all in the permit history, all legally done. And the wetland now exists on the east side of the property, as Member Berger stated. So this property got a certificate of occupancy for the existing residents in 1979. The second story deck was part of that certificate of occupancy. Now, although there are 11 variances requested, which at face value seem like quite a few, given this entire parcel is in wetland jurisdiction, it's virtually impossible to do anything, even the most minor improvements, without triggering area variances in a natural resource special permit. There's no other method of approval for us to pursue other than an area variance. As was stated in the TIM by Member Berger, there are several variances being requested, and most of them are primarily minor in nature. 9 of the items requested are larger than 228 square feet for the expansions. They consist of the low decorative stone wall around that larger tree section that's about 1 foot high. There's a 113 square foot stone patio off the rear of the house, a stone walkway, which was shown in those photos, on the north side of the property leading from the driveway to the rear. The expansion of the upper deck is 49 square feet and making the deck a total of 271 square feet. And the stairs were relocated to the north side. They were on the south side before. There's a 40 square foot shed and a garbage bin, a 23 square foot outdoor shower, a 228 square foot rear deck, of which 147.5 is existing and 80.5 is proposed, and a 111 square foot front stoop expansion, the deer fencing that's directly around all of the ornamental vegetation, which was shown in those photos, and it's removed seasonally, and then 8 square feet of air conditioning unit and the propane tank screens. All of these items are typically accessory structures and aspects of a primary structure and are not substantial in size. As noted by the planning department in the TIM, they're common requests for an outdoor use of a property. They're in character with prior approvals on parcels within proximity and the Ditch Plains neighborhood in general, and they won't cause a detriment to nearby properties. We believe that the approval of these structures will also limit the activity nearest to the wetlands. Having a slightly larger rear decking and a small patio are intended to keep gathering areas for the family concentrated to the area directly behind the house. So this way, all activity will be further away from the wetlands than might have been otherwise. My client was actually unaware that some of the smaller structures required permits, and only when she approached me about the deck expansion on the first floor did she become aware that all these other modest existing improvements needed variance from the wetlands as well. She has several grandchildren, all of whom attend the Montauk School since pre-K, and she hopes to keep this house as a home base for them as they move to high school and beyond. Granting approval for things like the outdoor shower for after the beach, the shed for the storage of the boogie boards, the deck to have lunch on are important aspects to the family. And we hope that you don't see any issues and grant the area variance and the natural resource special permit for them. She believes in being a good steward of the land. I know Eleni mentioned in the TAM the establishment of a scenic easement, and we understand that there needs to be some incentive for the board to grant the variances, and we're more than happy to grant that scenic easement. She did talk about a 10-foot buffer to the wetlands in addition, and we would just request that be reduced to 5 feet. The yard is really small to begin with, so any area that we can have just to keep as lawn and potentially keep the ticks away would be fantastic. And of course, we'll revegetate those small portions of the wetland that have been cleared and were legally pre-existing cleared as noted in the TAM. And I think that's really all I have to say. I guess actually 2 more quick things, just to comment on 2 things that Member Berger noted, that those stones that were around the tree closest to the wetland have since been removed. She didn't know that she couldn't put those there. I told her she had to get them out of there. So those stones are gone. And the wire fence that was in the wetland that's noted on the survey as to be removed is actually removed. And that's it.
Thank you, Tara. Can I ask you, just so we're clear for the record?
Sure.
Remind us what was built without a building permit?
Sure. So without a building, I guess it requires a building permit because of the natural resource special permit and variances, but the low stone wall, right, or that planter,
right. Yeah.
Which typically wouldn't require a building permit.
Yeah.
The stone patio off the rear of the house, which is 113 square feet. Yeah. The walkway, which again wouldn't have required a building permit. Yeah. The 49 square foot expansion of the 2nd story deck. So she expanded that slightly and relocated the stairs. She has family members who are in fire prevention, and she was nervous about them going down towards the middle of the house. She wanted them to go away from the house, so she relocated them. The shed, the 40 square foot shed would have required a building permit, right? Because 36 or under doesn't. The 23 square foot outdoor shower. And that's it. Oh, and so the AC screens.
Yeah, and the bin also, right?
The garbage bin, right, next to the shower.
Okay, so the second floor deck was there, the main volume I'm interested in, that 2nd floor deck, you're saying all of that was there except for 49 square feet?
Yes, so the CO has the deck on it. And when you subtract the square footage of the expansion, I think it came to around 49 square feet.
Okay, I'm fine, for now, thank you. Terry, some questions or any comments?
Yeah, all of these items, Tara, were done by the applicant?
Yes, that is correct.
So none of that pre-existed, her ownership?
Nope.
Okay, and
this was truly, for what it's worth, it was truly one of those situations where she didn't know her garbage bin needed permits, so it wasn't done intentionally to circumvent the town code.
Any other comments, board members?
You said she is willing to replace the vegetation that was removed from the wetlands?
Yes, we will submit a re-veg plan for the areas of the wetland, and we're also willing to do the scenic easement.
Okay.
And you're also willing to do, you were mentioning you're willing to do a 5 foot a buffer.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from planning on that.
No.
But, you know, I know how this works and we're happy to do 5. But 10 just, it really makes the backyard about 20 feet deep, which is, she's really worried about the ticks.
Okay,
I'm gonna
let's,
stop there. Okay.
All
right, let's hear from planning.
Yeah, let's hear from planning. Sure. Eleni, if you please.
Good evening. So I will add to what was said previously. So the existing and proposed improvements on this parcel do require significant variances from freshwater wetland setbacks. They are common requests for the outdoor use of the property, and the entire property falls within 100 feet of freshwater wetlands. Thus, any proposed structure would require a variance from wetland setbacks. You can see here the wetlands just go across the back of the property. The wetlands associated with this property include a water course that appears to run just right across the rear of the property. It continues on. And this parcel was developed prior to the establishment of NRSP jurisdiction. The only certificate of occupancy on this parcel was issued in 1979, just after the initial construction of the residence. And it can be seen from the 1978 aerial photographs that there had been a water course that ran through the subject property. And the initial construction of the property included relocating that water course. That was all done legally at the time. There were not wetland, there was not, and no NRSP jurisdiction, and that was something that was done legally. Although that did result in issues in the overall ditch plains area. The clearing on the parcel is pre-existing non-conforming to current town code clearing regulations. But the parcel is cleared into the wetlands, which it's legally existing because it had been that way. However, if you see the clearing line kind of goes here, whereas the wetlands, this is all cleared into the wetlands over here. And we'll say that the planning department does recommend that the applicant revegetate the areas of clearing which encroach into the wetlands. We are requesting a 10-foot buffer. We do feel that that would be, kind of the minimum to protect the wetlands. The way that the code is now, clearing within 50 feet of a wetland requires a variance. While this is pre-existing and that's not necessary here, 10 feet we do feel would be the minimum to protect these wetlands. And we would also recommend that a scenic easement be established over the wetland areas on the parcel. There is a scenic easement on the neighboring parcel to the south, and that would increase the protection of the freshwater wetlands that flow across both parcels. And the establishment of vegetation within the wetland area could alleviate some issues possibly, even though this overall ditch plains area does have a lot of issues with flooding. So I do have the sketch that was part of the write-up here. The 10 feet it does encroach into their backyard quite a bit. However, it would be a great benefit to the wetlands. Are there any questions?
Not for me. Board members, any questions?
Well, the scenic easement on the property to the south, does that kind of mirror where this line is drawn?
Yeah, let me actually bring that up and I can show you exactly where that is. Apologize.
That's all right.
Oops, sorry, my screen is frozen. Okay, so the easement. This is the easement to the south. It actually is larger. However, so the easement that we're recommending here would just come across the wetlands here, so it will come up this way and just along the back.
Okay.
Can you shut off that? Is that being adhered to, that easement with the neighbor when you shut off that hatching, Eleni?
It appears that it's not. It's
Yeah,
not being adhered to.
Yeah, it appears not.
Yeah, this is the 2021 aerial, so this was just taken in April.
Yeah, so that's something again we have to kind of when this board notices things that, and we have to flag that for code enforcement when we notice that kind of egregious clearing where it should not be there. So that's another issue, but thank you for good question, Terry. Thank you. Any other questions, Terry?
Yeah, well, I guess that my biggest concern is about the proposed deck expansion in the back. I mean, you know, these are huge variances. Some may be not so egregious, like that existing planter stone wall, but I'm concerned about the deck expansion in the back there. It's like 16 feet? No,
I think it's
17.7, it says.
Oh, I think it's the deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. From the flag, it is 17.7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Sorry.
No, I think it does look like, minimally the 10-foot buffer would be a requirement.
Yeah, I have to agree with Member Berger's comments on the buffer. I think that's actually a pretty generous offer by the planning department on this, given the number of variances and the percentages, which are really substantial.
Yeah.
So I consider that as a kind of a minimum level that we should be looking for on this application.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tim. Board members, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I would just agree both with members Berger and Brenneman about the buffer. I also agree with member Berger that given the fact that there are 11 variances required here and that some of them are not easily correctable, asking for it extending the deck seems to be something that's going to be problematic for the board, or at least for me. And I know member Berger brought it up, but other than that, I think that the issues that concern me have already been covered by other members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And again, we can pick this up when we have our work session. Okay. Anything else? Tara, a quick closing comment from you?
I don't really have much to add. I think just if only the board could just keep in mind that this property was developed in 1979. And I know we have done quite a bit of work since then. But, yes, there are 11 variances, but some of them are for screening around an air conditioning unit or, 8 inches of stack stone. So some of them are bigger than others. The number 11 sounds scary, but, there's probably 3 or 4 that are a decent size variance. So I just thank you for your consideration of the application.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can we check to make sure that there's no one from the public?
Oh, thank you. Of course. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. LTV?
No, there are no callers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nancy Lynn, again. Okay, thank you, Tara and Eleni. Terry, you want to close this out then?
Sure. And for the application of Patricia McCarthy, Suffolk County tax map 300-031-03-24 at 21 Reuter Place in Montauk. Make a motion to close the public hearing, to leave the written record open for a period of 2 weeks until a period of 2 weeks after the transcript of this hearing is posted to the website. Did I make a motion to close? Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I did.
I hope so. Someone got a second there, Roy? Got a second?
Yeah, second.
I'll concur.
I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Tara, again, and Eleni, and have a good evening. Okay, we will move on next. We have on our work session, post-hearing decisions, we have Sands Capital Holdings, LLC. I'll read this in and then Nancy Lynn can remind us why we are revisiting this, for the public's knowledge as well. Council, do I have to read this in? I guess I do, right? Yeah.
I mean, you're picking up, but just enough that it can identify maybe the tax map number and.
Sure. Okay, great. Yeah, the description. Great. Thank you. Yeah. So we have the Sands Capital Holdings LLC at tax map number 176-8-23 and 300-176-8-22. And the description here is to reconfigure the lot lines of two parcels by transferring 10,692 square feet of lot area from lot 1. And this would allow for the existing 1,309 square foot 2-bedroom cottage currently on lot 1 to be situated on lot 2. And we had this whole hearing last week, and council, you want to pick it up from there on the continuation, please?
Sure. There was some questions with regards to what the numbers actually were and whether they matched. We have, I distributed to the board a verification of each of lot 1 and lot 2, what existing is, what's maximum allowable, and what's proposed. It gives a percentage of change as well as the net change. I think that there were some concerns about that. There was also a question about the actual square footage of the third building, the cottage, and it has been verified that it is 1,280 square feet. Which was where I think some of the confusion came in. We had a different number somewhere else. There was a question with regards to whether or not this board had jurisdiction over both of the lots or just one of the lots, and what conditions could be imposed or would be imposed. Generally, we do not have, this board has no jurisdiction over lot 1 where the guest house currently exists, but the planning department has jurisdiction over both, and whatever previous conditions as far as the scenic easement on lot 1, those will be continued even once the lot lines reconfigured. Obviously, they will have a smaller area that's revegetated because they have a smaller lot. So the actual dimensions of what the easement will be consistent with what they have now, but just removing the area that they no longer would own after this lot line modification, if that is what is approved by the planning department. They would also obviously, once the lot line is if it is granted by the planning department with this variance, any conditions would have to be, not only would they have to do it for the zoning board, but they would have to update their deeds to reflect those as well. I believe we were talking, I think there was a little bit of confusion of where the additional scenic easement would be, and my understanding is the on lot 2, the scenic easement would be similar to what had been imposed by this board on lot 1 when that was previously before the board for determination for an easement. I think it was 50 feet from the crest. And that what is being offered is that on lot 2 that currently does not have a scenic easement, although part of what they would be gaining from this lot line does, and they would continue that easement all along the entire width of lot 2. So that is what they're talking about as far as the scenic easement. So there is no proposed new scenic easement or expansion of the scenic easement on lot 1, only an expansion of the easement on lot 2. And I think that was some of the questions that were out there, and because of that, there was some question as to whether or not people wanted to make sure that they had the right information before they discussed their concerns or any conditions that they wanted to discuss with regards to lot 2, which this board has jurisdiction over.
Okay, thank you for that thorough analysis. We appreciate your work on that, Nancy Lynn. This is in my Amagansett district. I think Nancy clarified everything that I was looking for. I actually don't have any further comments on this myself that were not touched upon last week. Board members, any other comments? No?
Yeah.
No,
Terry?
No comment.
Well, yeah, I was concerned about the numbers and, I guess that's been addressed. I have to say though, I'm still very uncomfortable about this variance. When I go over and see the benefit to the applicant from grant of the variance, outweighs any detriment to the town. We did do a lot of discussion last week about unintended consequences. And I am really uncomfortable with us approving a variance which would allow this nonconformity in 2021, when clearly, this is a nonconformity of this residence that would just would never, not never be done, but not since the code was put in to limit this. And I'm very uncomfortable with that. I think we know there are other places in the town where there's maybe more than one residence on a property. And I think this will open a door to creative opportunities elsewhere in the town. So I don't feel comfortable that the benefit does outweigh the detriment to the town.
That's fine.
As far as the that it's the minimum variance necessary. I mean, we know it's really not. The applicant already has some arrangement with the lot one owner, and so I think that they, to me, it is a self-created situation for the benefit of that applicant. Maybe unusual. It's not the minimum variance required.
Well, that's fine. Certainly fine if you want.
I just think we're opening it up to.
Yeah. Well, that's, we certainly welcome your opinion. You're certainly obviously to dissent. We can.
Yeah. So I will be dissenting. On
okay. That's fine. Because we spent so much time with this hearing last week, I'm not going to go. I don't think that we have to go back and repeat our whole discussion. I'm going to stick to all of my comments that are on the record from last week. And I don't know if anyone. So I do not have any further comments, and board members, please speak up if you have any additional comments other than what you said last week.
No, I'm good.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm happy with what I said on record last week.
Okay.
If I could just get a little clarification on two things.
Yep.
You all talked about unintended consequences and making sure that this would not be a precedent. Mm-hmm. And what I gleaned from that, and just to get clarification and consensus from the board, that these were certain factors that made this property made you willing to approve this in this situation where you might not do others. And the ones that I heard, and if there are ones I missed or I mischaracterized these, please correct me. But the fact that these were contiguous properties, that the pre-existing non-conforming structure was going from one property to a contiguous property, mm-hmm. That there was no actual requirement that the structure be moved in any manner, mm-hmm. And that it did not require any side yard variances in order to accomplish the variance only for the two dwelling variance. Mm-hmm. Allowing for two dwelling variances. Now, those were the ones that I picked up on. Were there any others that?
As well as the mitigation, the mitigation that goes along with the IA system and the easement.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Just the bullet points there, as Roy said, would be the mitigation, and per my closing comments, were the mitigation for the IA system, the extended scenic easement, the additional planting, that vegetation of native planting that was going to occur.
And the native planting is on lot 2.
Yes, it's between.
Okay, and that native planting is in.
It's in a plan. It's in a plan, and it was between the cottage and lot 1. It's in the plan. Yeah.
Oh, right, it's the screening
Yes,
rebed. Thank you.
exactly. But it'd be natural planting, vegetation.
Do you feel that that IA system that you should specify it's on the main house because the cottage already has an IA system?
Sure. I think that's that's nothing wrong with putting that in for sure, Terry. I think it's on the map, it's on the survey, but there's nothing wrong with that being highlighted.
I don't know. I think, there should be other restrictions placed on that cottage also, as far as expansion of space, anything, it's non-conforming. So yeah, nothing that would increase that non-conformity or
Yeah, I can't imagine another board.
limit any renovations.
I can't imagine another board. We already allowed only for like renovation in kind, basically, as you recall already, this board did, and that's on the record. So I can't
But
imagine.
that we would have to, renovation in kind when it was on lot, one, so we.
Yes,
would
I'm just saying in the
that.
past, that's all that this board allowed.
Okay.
What I'm saying. That's all that we allowed for that. We didn't allow any expansion or any movement or relocation or anything. So so
on this property, are you looking to add, or the discussion is whether or not you want to condition this approval on no expansion of the square footage of the cottage?
I'm totally fine with that myself.
Well, I think I would note simply that they are almost maxed out of GFA as is. So once this is added, they're within 8 feet of being maxed out on GFA.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, for that. Yep. Yeah,
so I don't think that it's really necessary.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was one of the reasons why I didn't feel that there were unintended consequences here, because the lot that was receiving this cottage was basically maxed out, and lot one is not maxed out, but it's at the 90th percentile already. So both lots are either at or very near the maximum gross floor area.
Yes, thank you, Tim. I agree with that as well. Anything else, board members? I mean, Nancy Lynn, maybe it would be great to just note that the board that would not want any more expansions, and note Tim's comments there that this board does realize that such and such, the GFA is maxed at those numbers, and for both lots. I think that would be great to have in the record, if board members are good with that as well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then I would like to, Council, if you're good then with that, are you good with that, Council?
So we have everything?
Okay, then with regard, I would like to make a motion.
Nope, you don't need a motion.
Oh, we don't need a motion.
Gotta write it
We're getting a determination written up, and we'll.
Let me write it.
We'll look forward to your handiwork, Nancy Lynn, on that, and we'll pick that up another time. Okay, next.
But at this point, just so I have, my understanding is that from the two discussions is that we have 4 members that would be in favor of approving and 1 dissenting, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Right. Just want to make sure I had that right. That I need.
Okay, thank you, and thanks, Terry, for your input, and Tim. Okay, we have something under other decisions. We have a letter with regard to 301 Marine Boulevard in Amagansett. As you know, board members, Land Planning Services requested a additional time because the surveyor is busy and the survey was not completed to depict the kitchen bump out on the plans as we requested. And Lori Wiltshire is requesting 2 more weeks for that. This is in my Amagansett district. I'm fine with this. Board members, any comments?
I'm good with it.
Same here.
No, fine.
Okay, then I will make a motion with regard to 301 Marine Boulevard, Amagansett, tax map number 300-177-1-42, to extend the time for the submission of the revised survey for 2 weeks from this evening.
Second.
Concur.
I'll concur.
Okay, we'll give Roy that second. Okay, thank you all. Next, we'll move on to, we have an extension of time. I have that in front of me. That is for Haddon at 57 Buell Lane in East Hampton. Buell Lane extension, pardon me, tax map number 300-194-1-15. And this is in board members, pardon me, this is in board member Brenneman's East Hampton district. Roy, pardon me, Tim, you want to pick this up?
I think Eleni was going to review it.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I beg your pardon. Thank you, Eleni. Please do.
So this is a extension of time it was a pyramid variance that was granted along the southern lot line. No work has been done at this time. I believe from Tyler's memo, he stated that something happened with the applicant. They couldn't do the work. They are now looking to do the work, so they are requesting the extension of time. I have the approved survey here. They were actually moving the house, so the house is where it is now is here, and it was to be moved here, and the pyramid variance was from this lot line.
Thank you, Eleni. Tim, any comments?
I'm okay with this.
Okay, if everyone else is, I'm fine myself. Everyone good with this?
Yes.
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 Okay, Tim, would you like to make a motion, please?
Do I make a motion for this, or do I wait till we actually do the resolution?
I'm sorry. Yes, you do. We'll wait. And we'll be doing that next. Thanks very much. So we'll move on to the draft minutes of June 15th, 2021. I've read these minutes. They look just fine. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for June?
Yeah,
June 15th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for June 15th for the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second?
To approve it.
Thank you. We got a second.
I concur.
And I concur. Okay, thank you. And now under resolutions, we have the extension for 57 Buell Lane has been written up. Tim, do you want to make a motion on that, if you please?
Yes, in the matter of Hayden at 57 Buell Lane Extension, East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-194-1-15. I make a motion to approve the extension of time as written.
Second. Okay, I concur. I'll take that.
I concur.
And I concur. Thanks, Tim. Okay, now we'll move on to Tuttle Road LLC at 88 Fleming Road, Montauk Tax. And I'll let you pick this up. Pardon me, Ed, if you would, please.
Yeah, you'll remember that the board was in agreement for approval on this application. There was the small split rail fence that sat near the bluff crest basically bisecting the property that was owned by the applicant, and it was going to line the west side of the road in front of the house. We were all in approval, and so I would like to make a motion in the matter of Tuttle Road LLC at 88 Fleming Road, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-017-1-13 and 14.2 to accept the resolution as written at this time.
Second.
I concur.
And I concur as well. Thank you, Ed. Next, we have 15 Crooked Highway LLC at 15 Crooked Highway in East Hampton. And Tim, would you like to pick this one up?
Sure. The board will remember that this was the home with the retaining wall. And we had questions with regard to the revegetation, which we sorted out. Ultimately, this board approved the application with all five of us concurring. And so in the matter of Hampton Cowboys LLC, which was formerly 15 Crooked Highway LLC, at 15 Crooked Highway, East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-112-1-2.5. I make a motion to accept the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Okay, next we have Anthony Giacconi at 61 Seabreeze Lane in Amagansett. As you recall, Nancy Lynn didn't waste any time getting these written up. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. You will recall our hearing here. This is regarding the garage that was permitted, that was under construction until it was made known or realized that an NRSP and the variance was required. And we've gone over this all very thoroughly. I believe we were all in unanimous approval for this determination. So with regard to Anthony Giacconi at 61 Seabreeze Lane, I'm against the tax map number 300-175-7-10. I make a motion to approve the determination as written.
I'll second.
I concur.
And I concur.
Okay, thank you all. Council, anything else on your end?
Yes, we have one more.
One
Oh,
more.
geez.
Becker.
Oh, I didn't turn over. I'm sorry. What am I missing here? I didn't.
William and Krista Becker.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't print out the revised agenda. My apologies.
I can take this one.
Could you take it? Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, sure. So we already made a decision on this, and we already voted on this application. However, this is a correction of the hamlet or geographic area being Springs. There was an error on that before. All have concurred in the approval of this application as written. So therefore, I make a motion to accept the amendment of the application and to approve the application as written of William and Krista Beckert, Suffolk tax map number, where is it?
300-1036-29.
There you go. Thank you, council.
I will second that.
And I will concur.
Ed, you concur? Did you?
I did. I concur.
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Ed. And I concur as well. Okay, thank you all. Council, anything else?
Now, just I hope that the board enjoys their 2 weeks off.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
Without a doubt.
we will. And thank you.
We will update you. At this point, we do not have any direction as to whether or not our meeting on the 13th will be in person or also on Zoom, but I will, once we have information on that, we will be emailing the board and letting you know. And I am sure that we will have some manner in which to let the public know. Although I believe the public's still always going to be able to call in even when we go back to in person if they prefer. But we will keep that information as we get it. We will share that with you and share that with the public. And we will be moving right along in July with public hearings on the 13th and the 27th and a work session in between on the 20th.
Okay, thanks, Nancy Lynn. Appreciate that. And thank you to Kyle and Eleni and LTV and board members. I think the only thing, and enjoy the next 2 Tuesdays off. You can watch a movie or something fun like that. Vice Chair.
ZBA.
Yeah. I think we need a motion from our Vice Chair. We'll be all set, Roy.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Therefore, I make a motion to close the hearing and work session of the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals for Tuesday, June 22nd at 9:08 p.m.
Second.
Concur.
I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you all for a good meeting. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night,
Enjoy.
everyone.